Welcome back everyone to another great episode of Away from the Keyboards, the show that matches ethical AI with experts in the field to bring you the best episode possible. Our guest today is Suvianna. She is the founder of AI for Change Foundation, a global movement dedicated to advancing ethical and responsible AI adoption across the globe. She is also the chairperson for the oldest football club in Pori, with over 100 years old. If you managed to hear this episode on the day that it went live, both me and Suvianna will be attending the TechX 2025 event in Rai, Amsterdam. So if you are around, find us and tell us what you thought about this episode. We got a great one aligned for you today. So without any further ado, Suvianna, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Since last time we spoke, I've been looking a bit more into what you were doing, and we are going to speak in a conference very soon, and how that whole journey to lead you to now have a foundation called AI for Change. So it got me very curious. How did it all start? How was your journey to arrive at this place?
My background is actually in law. Always been really interested about human rights, and I thought that I'm going to work for United Nations or something like that. But life happens, and I was testing different business ideas and so on. And a couple of years ago, I got really into AI. I was building these kind of custom AI bots for education companies and so on. And that time I also started to research more about, how the other side of the AI, because I was in that hype as well, like what AI can do and the potential and so on. But also then I started to research more about the dangers of AI and so on. And I felt like there was nothing in the middle. Like there was a lot of hype and there was a lot of fear. I was thinking why there's not enough talk about how we can use AI, understand the potential, but also the risk, and find a middle ground how we can use it. And beginning of this year, I started AI for Change Foundation, which is basically promoting this responsible and ethical use of AI for organizations through different workshops, toolkits, and also we have this event AI for Change coming up in this November in Helsinki, but also online. So yeah, it's been a journey, and I thought that this was gonna be a side project, but this is now more than my full-time job.
And what was the first thing that got you really interested in AI? What was the catalyzer?
I think it's about the potential, what it can do, how it can change the world. I've always been really optimistic, really curious what kind of things we can do with AI, matter of research, cures for rare diseases and so on. So I think that was the thing, like how we can also use it in our own, life, how I can become better person, learn better, save time and so on. So I think that was the thing, the potential.
Because as you mentioned as well, it's like a lot of people just talk about the AI and a lot of other people just talk about the loomers, but I also have a similar feeling as you, like, yeah, this is probably going to be the best thing for us, and it's going to be not as good as the hypers put it and not as loomy as the loomers put it, but something in the middle that is going to be a great accelerator for everyone, not just for people in IT, but maybe in every sector, the same way as the internet was a great advancement like a couple of decades past.
Exactly, and I feel like, of course, we are still beginning of this AI adaptation and so on. A lot of things are coming up, and this space is moving so fast. But I'm really excited what is, the future will hold. But also I hope that there would be more talk about how we can use it more responsibly.
And before we move a bit more into a deeper discussion, we have a recurrent segment on the show that is called Pass It Forward, where a guest gets the chance to pass forward a question to another guest. And the question to you comes from our previous guest, Troy. He is a data scientist and the owner of the community datascientist.com. And he wanted to ask, we all have routines, but what would you say is your go-to healthy ritual to keep you effective in your work?
I would say it's fasting. I really love the benefits of fasting, especially when I have like a lot of meetings and it's easier to also travel when you don't have to think about airport food and so on. So I would say fasting, it helps also memory, like, my brain and so on. So it has to be that.
That's cool. That's also one of my favorite things to do. That's why
Yeah.
doing a podcast at lunchtime is great, because then I get to skip lunch. Yeah.
Exactly.
And as we spoke about the last time, one of the things that you have been involved is in the football club. So what can you tell us about that journey so far?
Yeah, it's been a wild journey. So the thing is that my husband always been really enthusiastic about football. He aimed to be a professional in his, teams and so on. So football is part of our daily life at home. And he also was playing in one team here in my city. And the ex-chairman said that he gonna quit the team, and my husband always had a dream that he wanna have a own football club. So he asked me like, hey, there's an opportunity that we, if we gonna do this together and we're gonna have a football club. And I said, yeah, why not? This sounds interesting. So that was the thing what leads me to having our own football club.
And you mentioned before it had to do with also your passion to bring ethical to other organizations, and that kind of matches up also what you are trying to do with AI. So how do you explain that kind of the role to people that never heard of it? What is a ethical AI advocate, and why is that an important thing in today's AI landscape?
Yeah, it's really a great question. We can think about AI ethics in the way that it combines AI and ethics. And ethics is, of course, the fundamental questions about what is right, what is wrong, what is don't cause harm and so on. So in terms of what I do is basically advocating these organizations like startups and other companies to use AI responsibly, understand their blind spots, understand that their employees understand how to use AI responsibly, what not to put there, understand the privacy things, the risks, and also that the AI has to be transparent, and also they have to really learn how to use it, and also there's enough training about how they can actually use it in their organization effectively, because many companies right now, it's a really trendy thing just to take any kind of AI tool into use and then just think about it like what we were actually aiming for. So I think it's also important to also understand that what we are actually aiming for, what is the goals, and how we can take the whole team into this and make it work for them.
Yeah, and I think one of the important points there, as well as you mentioned, is kind of what are the pitfalls, and not really the downsides of using AI, but what are the things where AI is not that great, that it's still going to give you an answer anyway, but it probably is not going to be the best one. So which experience did you already have, for example, with a customer that you can share that is not confidential?
Yeah, the one of thing that it comes to my mind is that AI is really good with the data. It can give you answers based on data. But when it comes to decision making and actually understand the things in multi-perspective, and especially when these kind of decisions involves people's important things. So I think that has to be more talk about also how, people always have to supervise AI. Always has to be a human in the loop. So it's not that you can outsource everything on AI system and so on. It's something that needs to be trained all the time tested by independent testers and so on. So this is more like an ongoing thing for each organization to understand and stay also ahead of the trends of AI.
Yes, because one of the things that we've seen with all this hype is that, AI is going to replace all software engineers or insert role here because all roles will be replaced by AI. But what you just touch upon is a very important point, that there always needs to be a human in the loop. And as someone that has used AI before to generate code and maybe even build applications, I've seen that not always it gives me exactly what I want. And if I don't have the right knowledge about what I'm doing and being able to look at it with critical eyes, I'm going to put something in my code base, because in this example, I'm just talking about code that will not be good or that will not be performant. It will just create bugs. But I think a similar parallel can be done for any other decisions that companies are doing while asking AI to take all of this data and then give me a decision in the end, right?
Yeah, definitely. And what you said about critical thinking, this is something I'm really passionate about, really to remind people that we cannot lose our ability to think critically. And one of the things is that what makes us also humans. Yeah, AI will replace many of the jobs, but do we want to outsource our thinking as well? It's another question, and so on. So I think this is something that we have to be careful, that we cannot trust whatever that AI tool gives you. It can hallucinate, it can give you wrong information, and so on. So that makes me also really concerned about like younger generations, because they don't have that kind of ability to understand what might be real and so on. But also it requires more training on AI literacy. We have to understand what we can trust, what we cannot, and so on. So it's really important, like, idea to think about it. What will happen to our thinking in the future if AI will do that as well?
Indeed, AI literacy is the kind of the pinnacle of what you just touch upon, because we still see it today. Like, humans, grown-ups will still fall prey to many scams that have existed since the beginning of time. It's not about lack of knowledge existing in the internet or being shared by family members. It's just a lack of awareness. These people are not really aware. They don't have the literacy where maybe someone can then explain, hey, this is how a pyramid scheme works. If you are seeing something similar, you're probably in a pyramid scheme, right? And it's the same thing with AI. Just because it gives you an answer, look at it carefully, because this may be not what AI is really good at. For example, an LLM, right? And we saw it many times, I think, in the beginnings, where it couldn't even count the number of R's in a strawberry, right? So it does have their own, peculiarities. Let's put it like that. It's a tool like any other tool, which is good for many things, but it's also not a golden goose that is going to be good for everything.
Yeah, definitely. And what you also mentioned about this, how easy is to scam people nowadays. Even I'm deeply in this AI bubble. Sometimes when I see something fast on social media, sometimes I have to think, is this really real? So I'm just thinking how easily these kind of deep fakes and this space is moving so fast. They are getting so good. So this is also a big concern, that we have to start to educate ourselves what is real and what is not. And especially for older generations, they get scammed so easily and so on. So this is something that we need better regulation, that these things cannot harm people and they lose their money, or even worse.
We see it all the time. People getting scammed by people that they don't even know. And now with AI, you can get a deep fake of someone that you know. And that's not going to be, an easy detect for someone that doesn't have the literacy to, discern what these kind of capabilities of AI are yet. Super. And one of the things that I wanted to check with you is, how do you see the future of AI in the next couple of years? Like, what is exciting you from what you see out there in the AI world?
What makes me happy right now, that I see that responsible AI is being taken more seriously. More companies are really wanting to invest in this, and they see it also as a part of how to build trust and so on. So this makes me, I see a little bit hope in that. Of course, I hope that this development would be more focused on AI for good and so on, not just for few profits and so on. I would like to see more startups doing more things with the AI for good, and what we can actually build with this. It's hard to, of course, say where this space will go because it's moving so rapidly. What I'm hoping that we can have open conversations with that includes everyone, not just like few engineers and so on. That would this space need more views and perspective from different angles, different kind of people with different backgrounds, nations, and so on. So I think it's really important to keep this conversation going, and also think that this technology belongs to all of us, not just few companies. So I think it's important that we have a space where we can ask questions and also express if we have a stupid question or whatever, that people will feel that is valued as well.
And we've seen recently some news from even Switzerland, where they kind of trained their new AI model completely on green energy using their own machines, and basically all under public data and making it available, which I thought was super cool as open source for the community. So I'm curious, what are your feelings around the open source versus closed source LLM models for the betterment of mankind?
Yeah, that the Switzerland thing was amazing. I think it should be inspiration for all of us. So what they done is amazing, and I wish to see more this kind of innovation going on, especially now when we have new regulations in Europe with the European Union AI Act. So I want that we will see this as a innovating using open source and so on. I feel like there's a huge opportunity for startups and like even for students to use these models for something good, and break the boundaries a bit with AI, what is possible and so on. Because it's really amazing to see new things coming like this with Switzerland.
Yeah, it was a super cool news that just came out like a couple of weeks ago. That I think it's a really good step forward, where it's not backed by a big corporation with monetary incentives. It's a nation country that use their own public data and some other pieces of public data with their own public infrastructure, and just creating a model that can be shared with the world. And for you, Suvianna, what is AI helping you on your day-to-day basis? How are you using it?
In this point, I try to be really thoughtful how I use it. I don't want to rely too much. Of course, I have to use it the potential, like it can save some time or so on. But the thing is that I don't want to also rely too much on anything. I want to keep my thoughts mine, and also not to get influenced too much about what AI tools are feeding me. I want to keep that for my thoughts and my thinking. But I use many AI tools for scheduling, for note taking, and so on. Right now I'm a little bit like let's say more conscious about what new AI tools I use. I like to test them, but also I feel like it takes some time to really get used with certain tools and how you can actually benefit them. And I feel like in this right now, it feels like there's new AI tools coming every day. So people might feel a little bit like, like too much, too fast all the time. So I feel like also a little bit about that. But I use some tools, but I don't want to rely on them too much.
Yeah, I have a similar feeling. I like using them, like both LLMs and other stuff like Whisper models to do transcription of the podcast for myself, but I don't want to also rely too much on them. Do you have a favorite one that you use?
I really like Comma. It's super nice to make, for example, presentations for clients or or, because I like the visual parts. It's not like super heavy on AI because I don't like that. I like to keep the words that I use, but it's really nice, like how you can use the visuals and so on. So it's a pretty boring answer, but I like Gamma a lot.
It's not boring at all. All of us have our own favorite ones. I think for me, as someone that codes a bit more, it's kind of Copilot, and somehow I have more of an affinity towards Claude 3.5, which is an old model, more than the other ones. I don't know why. It kind of feels like it's the only one that does exactly what I ask him to do. All the other ones go around the place, but it's cool. So Comma is like a PowerPoint type presentation tool.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I try to use like PowerPoint, but it's like you lose your mind because it's so old-fashioned and so on. But Gamma is really, really nice, and you can make fast presentations, like really cool.
Nice. And you have been in leadership roles, and at the same time, you are also trying to lead this change for AI by making it more ethical and available to people with literacy and so on. So I'm curious, what is the most important lesson in leadership that you have heard so far, or that you had so far, that you feel comfortable sharing with us?
It's a really great question. I think is that don't lose your values and cores. Because if you think about it, I built this AI for Change Foundation through a basic course and principles. So it's something that I want to keep up. I want to honor them and not just go where it might be financially beneficial, so on. So I feel like being true to yourself, to your mission, and I don't mind to disagree with people or with companies and so on. I think what I'm aiming for is important, and it's our mission, and I want to stay true to that.
I like that one, because I also have that feeling like if you have a clear mission and a clear set of values, everything just becomes way easier to share across customers, colleagues, co-workers, and getting everyone aligned into that. Do you also apply the same for the football club?
Yeah, actually, I was just talking today with my husband, and he said something that he has to have a difficult conversation with somebody, and I said to him, this is about leadership. Sometimes you have to tell bad news, and you cannot please everybody at the same time all the time. You have to set clear boundaries and rules, and everybody has to follow that. So that is part of it that in a sense that it applies to here as well.
Yeah, it's an inevitability of every leadership role. Doesn't matter where you are going to have fun conversations, and you're going to have less fun conversations.
Exactly.
It's part of the role. Cool. And if you could travel back in time, let's say that AI in the next couple of years figures out how to travel back in time, and you could take a piece of advice and give it to your younger self, what would that be?
Really great question. I would like to say that start using AI earlier, but actually I was starting to use AI pretty early, but maybe even earlier. I'm talking about 5-10 years ago. Get some sort of understanding of AI, and I think that would help a lot today to basically the adaptation and so on. And yeah, I think that one.
Cool. And if you could give an advice to our listeners that are listening now about AI and how they should be approaching AI in their careers and in their near future, what would you have to share?
I would like to share that, of course, AI is the future. You have to understand how to, use it for your benefit, take advantage of it, of course. But also it's important to understand how AI works, how it's making the, decisions or the answers that it's giving you. Have some sort of knowledge about AI systems, how they are affecting, many things and so on, and use it responsibly. Don't just put everything out there. Use it more critically. I know it is hard because it's hard to find that perfect middle ground, but I would just say that you have to test and try, but also keep in mind like how you can use it responsibly and also ethically.
Yeah, because it's kind of a disadvantage that we have with humans that when the speech looks like normal speech, we can give it a bit more meaning. And in reality, when you start thinking about it, these are just statistical models using tokens and arriving to a certain conclusion. So as humans, we sometimes fall prey to other humans just because they have nice words and they explain things eloquently. The same can happen with AI. So yeah, pay a lot of attention to what you're reading from the AI and don't over rely on AI. I think they are two great pieces of advice. And I think that's a great way for us to leave everyone in this show. But before we go, if people want to know more about what you are doing, know more about Suvianna in general and AI for change, what is the best place for them to do so?
I post quite often on LinkedIn, so you can find me Suvianna Grecu there. And also we have other social medias where you can follow AI for Change Foundation on LinkedIn and Instagram as well. And it's just AI for Change Foundation.
Super. Suvianna, thank you so much for coming to the podcast and having this chat with me. And hopefully we'll see each other personally very soon in the TechX event.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure. And to everyone that is still listening out there, don't forget to pet your AI agents and see you again away from the keyboards.